the first game against Gelfand was a minor scare. He didn't take the pawn on f4, and now Vichy had the black pieces against Levon Aronian. And what do you have to say about Aronian? How was he as a competitor?
He was very much sort of up and coming at that point, and I think he was even seen as maybe let's say, Vichy and Kramnik were the favorites, but Gelfand was Aronian was up there as an outsider. I remember there was some Russian magazine was asking people to name the three favorites for the tournament, and quite some had Aronian as one of them. And well, just before the event, a couple of months, he played this rapid match in Mainz that was organized by, actually one of Vichy's delegation, Hans-Walter Schmidt. And there, Vichy managed to beat him, and I think that gave him quite some confidence. But in general, Aronian was, even back then, a very tricky opponent, and I think had quite some expectations for the World Championship. And I think even, well, this was maybe the first World Championship he played, and maybe that added to sort of his, well, Aronian is an incredibly strong player, but if anything, as of yet, he hasn't managed to, do as well as I think he would like in these World Championships and such. So, well, let's see for the future, but that was the case at the time.
Very young guy also, yeah, at that
sure.
time.
Yeah, maybe he was probably, it's true. I mean, now 10 years has passed, and then somehow we've gotten used to Levin. But, I mean, no, I think he was rather new to the sort of World Championship scene. And also, well, actually, it's funny. I used to play in the same team as Aronian in Bundesliga and such, and well, I think he was always playing board one, which sounds extremely natural now, but he was actually, let's say, lower rated. But he said himself in some interview that, I was an arrogant young kid and such, and I thought that, of course, I should play board one. And I think history has proven he was right, but there was, at that point, maybe nothing to back it up. But at this point, he was a serious World Challenge contender, and he plays like this. He's wide against Vichy, and he's really taking him for a challenge. So that's going to be fun. I think this was the first anti-Moscow in this tournament. But this tournament, I mean, there was a huge theoretical debate. Of course, heavily centered about Vichy's games, but also, I think, at least a couple of others. And I think Grishuk said that, okay, it's obvious everybody had been studying this, and everybody thought this was fantastic sort of lines. At this, I mean, computers, of course, is a huge factor in this kind of events and in preparation. But still at this time, it was moderately naive towards these days. I mean, I think me and Vichy still thinks that we had a sort of technological advantage at that point, but just talking about we had a very, well, for that time, but of course now probably as slow as your mobile phone, but not really, but still a pretty strong four processor laptop. And no, that was fine. I remember I met Van Willy, and he had kind of a thin Ferrari notebook that looks nice, but definitely couldn't have that strong computer power. And well, nowadays everybody is using, remote servers or having access to the, university or whatever with ridiculous firepower. These days, smaller, but that maybe made it a bit more positive because we couldn't really map it out at the time, but somehow it was extremely fun to look at all these sharp lines. With computers, you will get new ideas and such. And I mean, you could see everybody came with actually quite some, I mean, the Mexico tournament was to quite an extent centered around exciting preparation, I would say. And well, this game was very much one of them.
And this computer preparation, did anyone help you with the technology that was provided, or it was?
Not at this time. That starts maybe for Bonn and such. There we actually started to understand these things. It's not like the technology didn't exist. I mean, for Bonn, we started using something called remote access. And the program we used, I think, had sort of written 2004 on it. So we could have used it, we just didn't understand it. It's my feeling no one else understood it at that time. So that is actually a bit surprising, and you can argue a bit technologically weak from our side. But at that point, and I think also in Bonn, we felt we were ahead technology-wise. And against Topalov, it changed. But that's a story for later.
For next year, yeah?
Yeah, 3 years, I'm afraid. But yeah, so let's see. Okay, all this is reasonably common, and I think Rook 81 was at that time the main move. Later, Bishop G3 was also an interesting move that was played later in the tournament about Grishuk, but we will talk about that in a separate game. Till here, everything went quickly and such, and this line we had also focused a bit about on our pre-tournament camps, where I think basically we had discussed Queen B6, which was basically only move played at the time, attacking the D4 pawn and such. But I think we arrived like maybe 5 days before the tournament to Mexico. I mean, or maybe a week even. Well, it's logical, right? I mean, there is, I forgot the number of hours, but quite a time difference and such. So we came there to get used to, different time zones to get over jet lag, to get used to the climate and so on. But also we had to do something, so we kept preparing and such. And well, the move c5 he played, I remember I was browsing through Vichy's notes here, and I could see he studied them with, I think, with San Segundo and Ubelava at some point. He said c5 interesting, and I thought, oh, why not check that a bit? I was probably doing that at some point when I couldn't sleep, and I thought that looked interesting. And I asked Vichy, actually, this is quite interesting. We should have a look. And we started checking it sort of the last couple of days before the tournament. And at that point, we were even well, you could sort of, I think, function in Fritz or ChessBase. You can let engines play tournaments against each other. So at night, I would leave them on, and they would play tournaments on my computer, and we have quite some games in this position. It was really sort of fun, and and Vichy got to play it a couple of days later, which was, of course, very lucky. And I remember, I think some Russians, I think Potkin it was, I think he sort of published after the game. This idea I knew for a couple of years and didn't get to play it, and then Vichy, he says that I looked at it 2 days ago, and I said it's not fair. But I think, of course, he was saying it jokingly, and well, I was a bit lucky, but yeah, I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you prepare it just 2 days before and you get to use it. That's very nice.
No, exactly, and I think even the novelty sort of idea he beat Swidler with was also something we maybe refined there at least. So but I think we were in a good positive mode, and I think as you said, we spoke about the previous game. Had we spent all the time sort of banging our head against the wall against the Petrov, well, we might have gotten a bit better positions against the Petrov, but it would have really sort of worked badly. So I think yeah, it sounds pretty lucky. Lucky, but also I think we were pretty good at sniffing out where the opponent might strike, and we managed to get in the surprise first. And this one was a beauty, I would say. Okay, there is a lot of complicated lines here, but basically Aronian played the expected move. He took on c5, which is very logical, of course, there's a pin in the e-line. And now the move queen e7. Well, bishop d6 will win an exchange, but of course queen h4, it becomes a huge mating attack. I'm sure we checked a lot of lines here, and I'm not really able to remember. But, I mean, you also get a good example of Aronian being a very strong practical player here. Aronian, of course, was really looking forward to showing his preparation in 17 queen b6, I'm sure. I'm sure he had great stuff, but we managed to avoid that. I think he understands his court. He can see there is obvious moves like bishop d6 and such. I think he thought for quite a while, and then he tries to play a move that's not really considered by an Indian. He simply thinks, okay, I've been out-prepared. There's no way Vichy should be allowed to just show me his preparation and we go home. So instead, well, he tries very hard to think of some way to surprise Vichy. And king h1 is objectively a bad move, but I think an interesting and courageous practical decision.
Peter, I had one question. Like many of the games where Vichy is better prepared than his opponents, would he try to fool the opponent by playing it a little slow, or his strategy was always to play fast and show that he was well prepared?
It's a good question. I mean, I think you will try to do some kind of mixture, right? I mean, also, if you do the exact same thing all the time, also people will catch on to that in a way. But, I mean, I guess also it depends on the magnitude of the novelty. I mean, here maybe you can say that, I mean, basically it's too late for white to deviate, so you will just do it anyway. And also, when Aronian plays like this, he thinks he's trying to catch you. So it's not like, I mean, if Aronian smells a rat, he would do something else on move 6, not on move 17. I mean, so here I think I would expect Vichy to, I don't think Vichy will sit there and think for 5 minutes and play c5. I mean, well, you cannot get Aronian to believe that Vichy is just freestyling that, right? So probably there, okay, you will sort of, but I mean, again, I'm not just babbling on 10 years old memories. You should just check out the times and you will get a much clearer picture. I think also sometimes nowadays, I mean, Norwegian television will ask me, is Magnus in his preparation? I'll tell them, okay, I mean, I'm not going to tell you, but I mean, look at the clocks and you get a pretty good impression, right? So I think that's going to be the answer. So, okay, we spoke a bit about king h1, and yeah, I think bishop c6 is quite a nice move. Basically, Vichy is trying extremely hard to keep his structure there. And, well, there is different moves, but Aronian tries a very interesting move. You see his confidence. He's really trying hard to fight back. So he plays knight d5.
Typical Aronian move,
yeah. I mean, it's a great move. And, I mean, no, it's not like, okay, I've been hit by a novelty, I will, just try and defend. No, he's really trying to fight hard, fight hard for the sort of initiative. But Vichy's next move is very impressive. I mean, probably it's by these days shown by engines and such. But I it's something that's made a great impression on me at the time, and it still somehow does. He's a piece up, so you could try considering keeping material or anything like this. But he makes a move bishop e5. You're undermining the bishop. I mean, if it starts taking it, well then the h-pawn will drop and mate. So, but the point is he can play f4 and the bishop goes back. So basically, instead of making a move on his own, Vichy has just taken the pawn from f3 and moved it to f4 and saying, okay, that is my move. Yeah, but this makes such a huge difference, right? I mean, this h5, g4 pawns are now completely stable, so your king side is safe. And the bishop on g3 is now a very, very lame piece. So, okay, Aronian takes the piece back, of course, but basically, well, the black knight will come to e4, and basically, I mean, Vichy is controlling both sides. Now, I mean, there's no good pawn breaks for Aronian, and black is just positionally sort of more or less winning. Okay, he tries rook d5, but that's sort of calculated by Vichy, and, well, he gets the pawn back, but now the rook on h5 is sort of gone. But, well, somehow I thought first Vichy is playing for a kingside attack, where the h4 pawn is weak, then he's up a piece, and then he turns it into a positional thing. And no, I remember it really impressed me at the time. When I look at it now, maybe it impresses me a bit less, but I think also that's because at that time it was a surprise to me. Now I have known the game and I understand the logic, and it became part of my intuition. I think intuition is basically, well, it's knowledge that's sort of stored in you, and I think this one has just gone into sort of a very nice theme that I now, well, understand and such. But I mean, oh, this was an incredibly good game, and okay, Aronian plays a few moves, but basically,
I mean, the position which was very sharp, tactical, Vichy found a positional solution, which is not so easy to find amongst all the possibilities that were there in the.
I really thought so at the time. So of course now, I mean, when we all know it, it feels logical and such. But I think it was, no, it was, I mean, great shape of him, and I mean, it's very typical that, I mean, well, he gets a chance and he takes it, and that well shows very, very great shape. But no, I mean, well, I had the pleasure of working with Vichy for, let's say, in the neighborhood of 10 years and such, and he's played many great games. But this one, I think, is one that makes a strong impression. I mean, it's, of course, an extremely crucial moment, but also a lot of, I mean, well, of course, I'm happy about the preparation and such, but, I mean, he handles it incredibly well, and also, I mean, it's been, well, we came there with huge hopes for the tournament, and the first game was quite a setback in a way, and then, I mean, he plays excellently here, and from here on, basically, the rest seems to be history, right? So, I mean, no, a fantastic start to the tournament, and I think, well, from this game on, and then the next couple of World Championship, Vichy played insanely well, and then a bit later it got more shaky, but he still actually managed to win the matches. But I mean, I think this was the start of an incredibly good run for Vichy, World Champion also was.
Of course, a great game and a good start to Mexico 2007.
Very much.